An antelope is grazing on an open plain. It has good eyes, good ears, and a nervous system built by 2 million years of being eaten. It is, for the moment, completely calm. 90 meters away, something is watching it that can cover that distance in about 4 seconds. This is the cheetah, the fastest land animal that has ever existed. A creature so specialized for one single job that its entire body has been sacrificed to it. And that's the part most people miss. Everyone knows the cheetah is fast. Almost nobody knows what that speed costs. So let's actually explain the cheetah. All of it. Because it's stranger, and a lot more fragile than the nature documentaries let on. Let's start with the number, because it's the reason the cheetah is famous. At full sprint, a cheetah can hit somewhere around 100 to 110 kilometers an hour, roughly 60 to 70 miles an hour. That's freeway speed. That's an animal moving as fast as the car you drive to work. But the top speed isn't even the impressive part. A cheetah can go from a standing start to 100 kilometers an hour in about 3 seconds. That is faster acceleration than most supercars. A creature made of muscle and bone out-accelerates machines built by engineers with budgets. And here's the detail that changed how scientists think about cheetahs. When researchers actually strapped tracking collars onto wild cheetahs and measured real hunts, they found the animals almost never used their top speed. The hunts were won and lost on something else entirely. The ability to brake hard, turn on a coin, and change direction mid-stride while the prey was still trying to figure out which way to run. The cheetah isn't just a drag racer, it's a drag racer that also handles like a motorcycle. And to do both of those things at once, evolution had to rebuild the animal from the skeleton out. Let's take the cheetah apart and see how it works. Start with the spine. A cheetah's backbone isn't a rigid rod like yours, it's a spring. When it runs, that spine coils and releases with every stride, flexing so extremely that it flings the front legs and back legs apart like a bow snapping open. This is why a cheetah's stride can stretch nearly 7 meters. For a big chunk of every single stride, all 4 feet are off the ground. The cheetah is essentially flying, touching down only to launch again. Now the legs. They're long, thin, and lightweight, built for reach rather than power. And the claws are the giveaway. Almost every cat has claws that retract fully, kept sheathed and razor sharp for climbing and killing. The cheetah's claws don't retract all the way. They stay out, blunt and hard, gripping the dirt like the cleats on a sprinter's shoes. The cheetah traded the ability to keep its claws sharp for traction, because when you're cornering at highway speed, grip is worth more than a good weapon. Then there's the tail. Long, heavy, flat at the end, and it works exactly like a rudder. When the cheetah throws itself into a turn, the tail swings out to counterbalance the body, letting it change direction without tumbling into a heap. Watch a cheetah corner in slow motion, and the tail is doing half the work. And all of this, the spine, the legs, the tail, is being fed by an engine that's been massively oversized. The cheetah has an enlarged heart, big lungs, oversized nasal passages to gulp air, and enlarged adrenal glands to flood the body with the chemistry of full throttle panic. After a sprint, a cheetah is breathing around 150 times a minute. It has essentially redlined its entire body. The black lines running from its eyes down to its mouth, those tear marks, probably aren't decoration either. The leading idea is that they cut down on sun glare like the black paint athletes smear under their eyes, helping the cheetah keep its target in focus during a chase in blinding daylight. Every part of this animal points at the same goal. But building a body this specialized means giving things up, and the cheetah gave up a lot. Here's how the whole machine gets used. Most big predators hunt at night. The cheetah does the opposite. It hunts in broad daylight, often in the heat of the morning or late afternoon. That's not a preference. It's a survival tactic. At night, the plains belong to lions and hyenas, animals that are bigger, stronger, and perfectly happy to kill a cheetah or steal its dinner. So the cheetah works the day shift when the heavyweights are asleep. The hunt itself is patience, then violence. The cheetah stalks, low and slow, closing the gap to maybe 50 or 60 meters. It wants to be close before the explosion, because the explosion can't last. Then it launches. The sprint is over in seconds. The cheetah runs the prey down, and here's the killing move. It doesn't tackle. It reaches out with the front paw and uses a special hooked claw, the dew claw, higher up on the leg, to swipe the prey's legs out from under it. The target trips at full speed and goes down in a cloud of dust. Then the cheetah clamps its jaws around the throat and simply holds on, suffocating the animal. It doesn't have the crushing bite of a lion. It doesn't need one. It just needs to hold and wait. It's a beautiful, efficient system. And it comes with a catch that basically defines the cheetah's entire existence. Here's the tragedy built into the design. That sprint is metabolically brutal. The cheetah runs so hard that it has to stop and recover afterward. Chest heaving, completely spent, needing to catch its breath before it can even begin to eat. For those few minutes, the fastest animal on Earth is one of the most vulnerable animals on the plain. And the plain is watching. Lions, leopards, and hyenas all know a simple trick. Let the cheetah do the work, then walk over and take the food. The cheetah, exhausted and lightly built, almost never fights back. Fighting means risking an injury, and for an animal that depends on flawless legs to eat, a single injury is a death sentence. So it does the smart thing. It gives up the kill and walks away hungry. A meaningful slice of everything a cheetah catches gets stolen right out from under it. The cheetah is the best hunter on the savannah and one of the worst at keeping what it hunts. It is, in a very real sense, a specialist that built itself into a corner, magnificent at exactly one thing, and helpless at almost everything else. And that fragility doesn't stop with adults. A mother cheetah raises her cubs completely alone. No pride, no pack, no help. She hides them in tall grass and leaves them there while she hunts. And every time she leaves, she's gambling. Because in some regions, the majority of cheetah cubs don't survive their first few months. The number climbs shockingly high. In parts of the Serengeti, studies have found that the great majority of cubs are killed before they grow up, most of them by lions and hyenas that find the hidden litter while the mother is away. Evolution's answer to this is oddly beautiful. Cheetah cubs are born with a cape of long, smoky grey fur running down their backs, a little mantle that makes them look bigger and fuzzier than they are. One popular idea is that this disguise mimics the honey badger, a small animal so vicious that most predators simply leave it alone. A cheetah cub can't fight, so instead it wears a costume that says, "Not worth it." The ones who survive stay with their mother for over a year, learning to hunt, before heading off alone. And this brings us to the part of the cheetah story that almost nobody knows, the part that turns this from a story about speed into a story about survival on a knife's edge. Here's the twist. Around 10 to 12,000 years ago, near the end of the last ice age, the cheetah population collapsed. We don't know exactly why, climate upheaval, mass extinctions of the big mammals, some combination, but the species was pushed to the very edge of extinction. It squeezed through what biologists call a genetic bottleneck. A handful of animals survived, and every cheetah alive today is descended from that tiny surviving group. And that leaves a fingerprint you can still read in their DNA. Cheetahs are so genetically similar to one another that they're almost like living clones. Here's the experiment that proved it. Scientists took a patch of skin from one cheetah and grafted it onto a completely unrelated cheetah. Normally your body attacks and rejects foreign tissue. It's why organ transplants need matching donors. But the cheetah's immune systems couldn't tell the difference. To a cheetah's body, another random cheetah looks like itself. That's how little genetic variety is left in the entire species. And it comes with a bill. Cheetahs have famously poor fertility. A large fraction of a male cheetah's sperm is malformed. They're unusually vulnerable to disease because if one pathogen can crack one cheetah's defenses, it can crack nearly all of them, since they're all built to the same blueprint. The cheetah didn't just survive that ancient near extinction. It's still paying for it, tens of thousands of years later. The fastest animal on Earth is running on a genetic engine with almost no spare parts. Cheetahs today are split into a few subspecies scattered across Africa, plus one lonely holdout in Asia. That Asian population is the ghost of the story. The Asiatic cheetah once ranged from the Middle East all the way to India. It was a hunting companion of emperors. Today it clings on in a few pockets of Iran, and the numbers are heartbreaking. Recent surveys suggest there may be fewer than a couple dozen Asiatic cheetahs left in the wild. By some counts, as few as a dozen individuals on the entire continent of Asia. We may be watching a subspecies flicker out in real time. And then there's the strangest cheetah of all, the king cheetah. For years, people thought it was a separate species. A cheetah with its spots melted together into bold blotches and thick stripes running down its back. It turned out to be neither a species nor a subspecies. It's a single recessive gene, the same kind of gene that gives a house cat its blotchy tabby pattern. When two ordinary cheetahs both happen to carry it, you get a king. Same animal, rare coat, one flipped genetic switch. So where does that leave the cheetah now? Not in a good place. The best estimates put the number of cheetahs left in the wild at somewhere under 7,000 adults, and that population is crammed into roughly 9% of the range cheetahs used to roam. 9%. The other 91 is gone, converted to farmland and towns and roads. The threats are the familiar ones, stacked on top of that ancient genetic weakness. Habitat is vanishing. The wild prey they need is vanishing with it. Because most cheetahs live outside protected parks, they constantly run into farmers, who sometimes kill them to protect livestock. And there's a grim illegal trade in cheetah cubs, smuggled out of the Horn of Africa to be sold as exotic pets, most of which die on the journey. Conservationists are now openly debating whether vulnerable is too soft a word, and whether the cheetah should officially be reclassified as endangered. So here's the cheetah, fully explained. It's not just the fastest animal on Earth. It's an animal that pushed one single trait so far that it broke everything else to get there. Its bite, its strength, its ability to defend a meal, even its own genetic future. It's a sprinter with a glass jaw, a perfect machine assembled from parts that were already running low. And it survived an extinction once, squeezed through a gap so narrow that every cheetah alive is essentially a copy of the same lucky few. The question now is whether it can squeeze through a second one, this time with us on the other side. The cheetah spent 2 million years becoming the fastest thing alive. It would be a strange kind of ending if the thing it finally couldn't outrun was us.